And now joining us with more on the latest election polls ahead of the 2019 vote is founder and executive director of the Israel Institute for Strategic Studies, Dr. Martin Sherman. Dr. Sherman, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for inviting me back.
All right, so some of the more recent polls over the weekend, we had, from Yediot Achronot, from Haaretz, from a few different sources, and they all seem to point to the same thing, and that is that while Gantz and Lapid's blue and white parties still have a lead, that lead is quickly shrinking, and the Likud is gaining back some of those seats, or at least shortening the distance. Why do you think that is?
I think people are starting to see through the charade. The Israeli electorate has good reason to be wary of what's called centrist parties with feeble or anemic ideology. We look back and we can see what happened to centrist parties. There was a party called the Center Party, which lasted for one session of the Knesset and then just vanished. And it had high-profile people in there. It had Dan Maridor, it had Lipkin Shachak, who was the former chief of staff. It had Itzik Mordechai, who was also a defense minister. Then you had Shinui, who were elected with 15 seats. And they lost all 15 within one term in the Knesset. You had Kadima, who were the biggest party in the Knesset, and vanished within 2.5 sessions of the Knesset. So I think the electorate has good reason to be wary of these new sort of these parties without real identity. Because if you look at the Blue and White Party, it's not really a party that's coalesced around some sort of political credo or some sort of consensus as to a strategic or economic or diplomatic agenda. It's a party of extremes. You have a former big union leader with a champion of free market competition. It's Zvi Hauser versus Nissenkorn.
Well, but doesn't all that kind of maybe point to the policy of the Blue and White Party, which is to become, I don't know, to cooperate?
But you can't
across these lines.
As I said before, you have these opposites. You have hardline hawks like Bogi Ya'alon, and doves like Yael Gelman. So when a decision comes, what kind of cohesion are you going to have around any issue that comes up?
Couldn't you argue something similar though about many of the right-wing parties, where you have the Likud, which of course is more right than center, but has often fought with some of the more hardline right-wing parties within the coalition?
But there's a difference. There's a difference between inter-party rivalry or inter-party dissension and intra-party dissension. I don't know how Blue and White is going to stay together, because virtually on every issue you have people on both sides of the divide. Whether it's security issues, whether it's economic issues, whether it's the territories. Ya'alon opposes territorial withdrawal, certainly opposes Palestinian statehood, whereas we've heard very heavy hints from Gantz and others that they're for unilateral concessions, or at least declaring readiness for unilateral declarations. So I think the electorate is starting to see through the guys.
All right, well, we'll have to see if that is true, if this division within the party will actually bring it down, or if people will still recognize themselves. Yeah, will still recognize themselves as represented by this diverse group. At any rate, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.